to the 9/11 War Room, a weekly roundtable discussion that takes place every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Tune in at 911warroom.com.
All right, let's get started. Welcome to the 9/11 War Room. My name is Gene.
My name is Sandra. Today is Sunday, December 21st. Happy solstice to everybody. Shortest day of the year, which means it's all uphill from here.
We are episode 214, as she just said. Let's get started with corporate level news. This is from Eyewitness News. 7 on your side investigates. Fire union hopes Mamdani will help get 9/11 toxin answers. They talk about some people that have passed away recently. I just want to shout out to them. NYPD detective Jimmy Zadroga's death was the first to be directly linked to a 9/11 related illness in 2006. He was so weak he couldn't even lift his oxygen tank to change it, said his attorney Michael Baruch. They found ground glass, asbestos, benzene, and lead in his lung tissue, he said. Many other deaths followed. Retired FDNY firefighter Billy Gormley died of a 9/11 related illness in 2017. He was a father of 4. He was in the thick of it, said his daughter Bridget Gormley. He literally went into the cloud in the truck, she said. Former chief of transit Michael Ansborough died from a 9/11 related illness in 2023. We're approaching the 25th anniversary of 9/11, and we're still fighting for money for health care, says Andrew. At the same time, the city of New York is still hiding records from us. It's absolutely absurd, he said. Down at the bottom, it sums up. A spokesman for Mayor-elect Mamdani sent Eyewitness News this response, quote, 24 years since the September 11th terrorist attacks, thousands of New Yorkers have and continue to suffer from ground zero-related respiratory and other illnesses. Our team will be looking into this more closely. So take him for his word. We'll find out. Keep an eye on Mamdani. There's about the 68 boxes that the city government said that didn't exist, and now all of a sudden they found them. So we'll keep our eye on the story. Next news story from the New York Post. Stefanik hits Hochul for Qatar-funded curriculum and teacher material in New York City that allegedly twists the history of 9/11. I find this interesting because TAP has recently been interested in looking after the curriculum that's going to the students because they are educating new generations with the official narrative, and this should be concerning for us. I'm going to do a little reading here. This is a pretty interesting story, and it's funny how it all ends up to the same thing all the time. Representative Elise Stefanik, House Oversight Chairman James Comer are demanding Governor Kathy Hochul provide transparency about curriculum and teaching materials funded by Qatar or malign domestic actors being used in New York schools. Stefanik, a Republican from New York who is running against Hochul, Democrat, in next year's election, and Comer contended that because New York City Department of Education has refused to release the curriculum, the governor needs to step in. The New York City Department of Education has refused to provide copies of teaching materials that twisted the narratives of September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks and the Hamas-led massacre on October 7, 2023 in Israel, Stefanik and Comer wrote in the letter obtained by the Post. Oh, interesting. They added in a little topic there. It continues. Stefanik and Comer raised
clarification question.
Let me just finish the story first.
Oh, okay.
Stefanik and Comer raised concern about curriculum and other content funded by Qatar and teaching materials from aligned domestic actors that could give students a distorted view of 9/11. It goes on. Stefanik and Comer also raised concerns about teaching material from Bridging Cultures, an education contractor led by Dr. Debbie Lee Almonteser, who is also in charge of the Muslim Community Network and has a long history of soft-pedaling violence. Almonteser will see her influence over New York City rise under Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani, the two warned. And it finishes, Bridging Cultures offers a course on teaching the history of 9/11 in the classroom, but Stefanik and Comer underscored how MCN has a history of vilifying, quote, those who want to recognize radical Islam's role in the attacks. The two polls recalled how MCN petitioned to scrap federal funding for the National September 11th Memorial and Museum, contending that it conflates all Islam with specific terroristic ideologies. Bridging Cultures held workshops about the aftermath of the October 7th, 2023 Hamas terrorist attacks, which she argues eases Israeli suffering.
Erases.
Sorry. So that's the troubling part. It always comes back to it's about Israel. The end here, it says Hochul campaign spokesman Ryan Radovaki was more direct and accused Stefanik of bending the knee to President Trump. Quote, more lies from Elise Stefanik, who's to distract from her record of selling out New York kids and families to Donald Trump, refusing to lift a finger when he gutted the Department of Education and when he withheld $464 million from New York schools, Radovaki chided. So what, Barb, you were asking for a clarification?
Yeah, just I'm pretty sure the answer is yes, but just to clarify, I take it that that this Qatar-funded curriculum is against the official story.
It's leading that way to one to believe.
Leaning that way.
Yeah, I mean, I found it interesting too when Jean was prepping this that they don't get into the details of what these accusations are based on. You would think they would have given some examples of sorts, but we don't really know. It's like you said, we can infer, but we can't know for sure.
And then Stefanik just stepped down from running for governor, you know.
Oh,
interesting.
And she's also not going to run again for her House seat. She just announced it.
Oh, okay.
New York Times yesterday.
And the runner-up is a Zionist for the Republicans.
Yeah.
Ah, interesting. Yeah.
surprise.
Yeah. All right, next news story, loosely related to 9/11, but I wanted to point out why it's related to 9/11. FBI Deputy Director Bongino says he will step down next month. Dan Bongino came out as a podcaster, sharing all kinds of information and theories, and they, of course, attack him in this. The subtitle reads, this is from Reuters, promoted conspiracies about pipe bombs and Epstein. As a podcaster, Bongino had promoted a range of conspiracy theories that came back to haunt him once he was handed a position of power. And it goes on to name a few of them, which I'm not going to mention right now. But I find it interesting because a lot of people don't realize that he had a history with Building 7 being part of the Secret Service. And I've shared it in past shows. I just want to show the clip again right now. This is 26 seconds. Dan Bongino shortly after 9/11.
You know, I remember it. I have vivid memories.
Where is my sound? Try that again.
You know, I remember it. I have vivid memories of my day that day. I was a young Secret Service agent. I was only 26 at the time. You know, I was in Long Island, New York. We were getting ready to serve an arrest warrant. We had an office in 7 World Trade Center on the 9th and 10th floor. You know, we watched our office collapse, 7 World Trade Center. It was about 5 p.m. Again, it all seems so vivid. I feel like I'm living it with you all again right now.
Yep.
You know, I remember.
He was there. He was, if anybody knows, seen the tenant list about Building 7, Secret Service was on the 9th and 10th floors. If you've researched the UAF study by Leroy Halsey, saying that to get the building to fall like it did in the videos, they had to remove 8 floors. The lowest floor, which you can see in the video, is about the 17th floor, so it had to be below the 17th floor. Chances are it would have included the Secret Service offices. So all of those columns would have had to been removed near simultaneously to get the building to fall at free fall acceleration down. So
and someone would have needed to access all of those floors.
So Dan might know something, but we don't know. We'll see. We'll see when he goes back to podcasting what he'll say.
Well,
who knows?
The guess is that he signed a hefty
non-disclosure
NDA, exactly, to not talk about things that he'd like to.
Yep. There's that one. Next news story. Their hair was on fire. Inside ignored FBI warning before 9/11. This Coleen Rowley, Sandra pointed out this to me. I didn't realize she was Person of the Year, Times Person of the Year in 2002. The Whistleblowers, that's her in the middle. And I want to share one clip's a little bit long. You have to forgive me. It's about 3 or 4 minutes, and then a follow up. Here's what she had to say in this interview.
But, you know, we're dealing with a new generation, not only in the U.S., but outside. when it comes to what happened regarding that 9/11 commission. And back then, when you were a special agent with the FBI, you were the chief division counsel in Minneapolis. That's in 1990. You taught constitutional law to the FBI agents and police officers. Now, there was some kind of lapse that happened there, and of course you can explain that due to internal organization and mishandling, as it's been described, of information that related to the attacks. And this has to deal with the field office and its investigation of suspected terrorist Zacharias Missouri. Tell us what happened there, Coleen.
I can't explain it that quickly. The investigation that the Department of Justice Inspector General completed in a couple of years is about 500 pages long. But just suffice it to say that the summer of 2001, the heads of all of the agencies, especially the CIA, but all of them, their hair was on fire. That's what they said. Their hair was on fire because the system was blinking red. In other words, they had so much intelligence and information that there was going to be an Al-Qaeda attack, and that they didn't even know what to do. And of course, information was not shared appropriately. So that's the sum up of something that's 500 pages. I will just say to the extent that the information was so bad that it was not handled correctly, that our acting supervisor in Minnesota on the telephone with FBI headquarters in August of 2001, 2 weeks before 9/11 or 3 weeks beforehand, he said, "Don't you know this is a guy who could fly into the World Trade Center?" Okay. So he actually said it on the phone in August of 2001. And here's my predicament. I knew that these agents were pulling their hair out, trying to get FBI headquarters to do something about all of the intelligence that was coming in, especially in Minnesota. But after 9/11, the new FBI director, Robert Mueller, who has a bit of a mixed history about cover-ups, etc., he went out in front of the cameras and said there was no information that anything like this could happen. And he wasn't the only one. So in other words, the cover-up began right after 9/11. Not only that, but then they exploited the attacks of September 11th. They exploited those to engage in their prior war agenda that they had already written about, the Project for the New American Century, i.e., if we have something bad happen, quote unquote, a new Pearl Harbor, then we'll be able to start our new wars in the Mideast. And this was already written in early 1990s. And so the American people became manipulated. And, you know, it's been very frustrating all these years to see this continue. But essentially, that's the 9/11. It got exploited horribly to engage in a whole bunch of bad things, including domestic laws, that almost a form of martial law here in the United States, massive surveillance, the torture program, all of those things began based on the pretext of 9/11.
So she goes on. It's a really interesting interview. I'll put the link in the show notes, about a half an hour, but she wraps up with this. It always goes here, doesn't it? Here we go. Mm-hmm.
And now Tucker Carlson, many of the people who try to explain to the American public what is going on here with corruption. This is corruption. And when we try to explain this, we are called anti-Semitic by these Israeli operatives who are all over. There's thousands of them in the United States. And they're putting people on lists. They're putting us on, targeting lists to go after people. I'm probably on one too. I don't know, but it's horrible.
Okay.
There it is. Yep. It is the elephant in the room, but check it out. This is Ellen Crowley. on this unscripted, or I'm
That's
sorry,
Eileen. I think it's Coleen Rowley.
Coleen Rowley. Sorry, I keep getting that confused with somebody else. There it is. Very well spoken.
Could you put the link to that? It's really important and timely in the chat too.
Sure.
Thank you.
Do that real quick here. Give me folks 1 second while I do that. It's in the chat. There's the link. All right. Next news. Go ahead.
Very briefly, is the elephant in the room Israeli association, or is it the cover-up of a state crime?
Both.
A little bit of both, yes. I think we're seeing a big presence of Israeli involvement in anything in America on all levels. It's becoming absurd at this point, in my opinion. It's just my opinion, but yeah. Who makes the calls for our elected officials? They just did a release. I'm not going down this rabbit hole. I'm just mentioning the Epstein files released Friday, but 90% of it's redacted. And who are they protecting? Whose blackmail operation was it? But again, I digress. Let's continue with the news for 9/11. Hey, next one. Kim Iversen interviews 9/11 family member Matt Campbell about his landmark UK Supreme Court case. This is a really nice conversation between the two. He's giving Kim basically all the information she needs to know about what's going on there. If anybody's not familiar with it, this would be a great thing to listen to.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Oops, sorry.
kind of like the Matt Campbell case for dummies.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, if you're not familiar with it at all, and just listen to this interview, and you'll have a pretty good idea of the basics.
Yep. This is on IC Substack. I think you can also see it on their website, or you can go to Kim Iversen's podcast and get to it there as well.
Yeah, she's a great podcaster, by the way.
Mm-hmm. And that's all I had for corporate level news. Now I'm getting down into some of the stuff that I've been working on that I wanted to share with you. This was a meme I put out a long time ago. And the part that's most concerning is where it says the dancing Israelis in bold there. It says it was reported, the New York Times, that a group of 5 men had set up video cameras aimed at the Twin Towers prior to the attack on 9/11, and we're congratulating one another afterwards. And I thought, boy, I really should find a resource for this, because they're just saying it there is one thing, but can you find the resource? So I went to Grok AI, said, hey, can you help me find this? It says that absolutely doesn't exist. There's no New York Times article about it. There's nothing on the internet about it. So I'm like, well, let me double check. So I go to Yandex. It's an alternative search engine. If you're not familiar with it, anybody, it's yandex.com. Started digging, get back to the Wayback Machine, and I find this article. This was, it's a now defunct news organization. Down at the bottom, you can see here, it says the Thomas Crosby Media of Thomas Crosby Holdings in Ireland. And yeah, that island. We got a buddy over there. Aye. Well, he would say it's his island. Anyway, we're not getting there. It says here, there are reports 5 men suspected of being involved in the attack on the World Trade Center set up cameras to record the atrocity. The men set up cameras by the Hudson River and trained them on the towers. The New York Times reports they congratulated each other when the crashes occurred. Still looking for this New York Times article. Searching and searching and searching. No search engine really wants to point it out. Wayback Machine again to the rescue after some digging. Found the article. After the attacks, the investigation bin Laden ties cited. And what I found most alarming about this article was how they framed it. Never once did they mention the word Israel or Israeli or Mossad. But if you read down through the article, look how they framed it. The hijackers, Osama bin Laden, Islamic militants. They must say hijacker a million times in here. Hijack teams, blah, blah, blah. Mr. bin Laden. They say here in this one sentence, officials said they knew who these people were and important biographical details about many of them, but declined to provide their names or nationalities. Meanwhile, you're still mentioning Muslim and extremists and this and that, and you get down a little bit further, and it adds this paragraph. Quote, separately, officials said the group of about 5 men were now under investigation in Union City, suspected of assisting the hijackers. In addition, the officials said the men had apparently set up cameras near the Hudson River and fixed them on the World Trade Center. They photographed the attacks and were said to have congratulated each other afterwards, officials said. Those would be the high fivers, otherwise known as the dancing Israelis. And I've had people said, what media company called them the quote unquote dancing Israelis? That was from actually Muhammad Atta's father saying it to a USA Today article where he said that they were dancing and celebrating. So that's where that moniker came from. But it's still interesting. Here's the source of where that information came from about them recording prior to the attacks from the Hudson, across the Hudson. This would be down to Liberty State Park. People had seen them. I'm trying to dig further. I want to find the official reports. I want to find the hardcore information. And I found this James Risen and David Johnson and James Risen wrote about it. So I contacted James Risen, sent an email out to him. It was a very nice letter, not being rude at all, saying, hey, I appreciate all the writing you've done through the years. I would like to find more information on the official accounts about these men down in Liberty State Park. And that was about 3 or 4 days ago. Whoops. And I missed my 520 prayer. So let me do that real quick, and then I'll go to the hands up. This is the time, 520, when Building 7 fell. We tried to use this as an opportunity to say a prayer for justice. So if you just join me for a quick moment. Lord, I just come to you. We don't have control over anything that happens about 9/11, truth and justice, but we are trying what we can do. And we just ask for doors that opened to give us the words to be able to speak to other people, to Lord, to refrain from this being an ego thing, that we just humbly come before you in an effort to get justice for all of the crimes that were committed that day. And I just look for better days where the movement will be able to deal with these difficulties of just personality conflicts, and even the worst, that there are wicked people that want to infiltrate and distort this movement, and help us to be discerning in that. In your name I pray. Amen. Thanks, everybody. Hands, Chuck Fall, go ahead.
Oh, I'm done. I'm sorry. I'll take my hand down.
Oh, okay. Diana.
Oh, okay. So there is a video on YouTube. You've probably seen that where the Israelis, when they returned to Israel, they were on a talk show, and they asked them what they're doing, and they say we were there to document the event. That is on YouTube.
Yep, that's a popular.
Yeah, okay, so you know about that. Okay.
Oh yeah, thank you. I would like to find the original on that, where we could get somebody to word by word translate what they're saying exactly, because it's mostly that overlay where the guy comes in and says, these guys were held for so many days, we better not jump to conclusions. So if anybody knows where we could find a link to that original recording, that'd be great, but I'm sure it's...
But this article is so manipulative, because when you are having 90% of everything that's written accusing Muslims or Middle Eastern men or jihadists or whatever, and then you throw in there a paragraph about people where that makes the whole difference, the fact that they're not, and without specifying, then it makes Muslims look guilty, and it's completely underhanded.
They knew what they were doing. Yep.
Well, I'm guessing they may have had it in the original write-up, and then the editor may have just taken out the line that's specified, because that's what it sounds like to me.
Maybe it's in one of Christopher Bolin's books.
I've tried. Oh, that's another question. Thing I want to bring up. I tried to reach out to Helgi, his wife. If you go to bolin.com, there is an email address there, yahoo.com. It doesn't work. You get a bounce back message. So I tried to contact her saying, we would like to talk to Chris about possibly being part of the 25th anniversary event. If anybody can get a hold of Chris, please do, because I'm finding it very difficult to get a hold of him. Thanks, Diana.
There's Jack and Carl.
Oh,
she connects on Facebook, and her name is pronounced Helga. Helga.
Thank you.
Helga or Helgi. Helga, but not Helgi.
All right.
But then she interacts with people on her Facebook account. Did you try that?
I did try that. And let's see, she did not.
Christopher told me her name is pronounced Hell Yeah.
There we go. That's it.
Yeah, which I thought was just perfect.
Hell yeah.
All right, that'll make it easier to remember. Yeah, so I just let her know that we're trying to reach out to her for the 25th anniversary event, and I don't think she even saw it. So if anybody else talks to her, please let her know we want to talk to him. Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.
Jack, and then Carl.
Yes, a couple of minutes ago, we were talking about thousands of agents around the country. And I had a personal experience with one who was a friend of mine. We broke up because of this, but it was a group that had to be penetrated before 9/11 that I was in, and he was in. And his father was very sick in the hospital, almost died, but recovered. And he came up to tell me that, and he said, and I've got really good news. I'm going to be doing something for my people, something for my country. And then he was suddenly being paid very well. So he was paid to be a SINM. And that's the money that we are giving to Israel. They are using to buy people in this country.
Yep. Thank
Can
you,
you
Jack.
tell us what group you were or agency you were working with? As he was?
I can't tell you here, but I could tell you personally.
Okay, thanks.
Very good. And Carl.
Hi. I'd like to introduce a couple of video clips I put in chat, but first, I want to just report that Phil Turney of the Liberty Veterans Association, whose visit to D.C. went quite well, although the Ben Shapiro event at Heritage was amazingly scripted. In fact, Heritage should really feel ashamed not to have let us know in advance that there would be no live questions from the audience at all. There was just one of their staff members stood up and purportedly read a couple of softballs to him that may have been submitted online or just made up themselves. But met with the briefly introduced Phil to the senior vice president or executive vice president, Derek Morgan, who is really, like Kevin Roberts' right-hand guy there, as well as another fellow who's runs membership, and made some good contacts there. Also, several members of Congress down, especially at the Capitol Hill Club Grill. The last evening we were there, Phil Turney, he left our table to go. He saw someone wearing a congressional medallion on their lapel, which is how they sort of advertise themselves. And it turned out to be James Comer, and they spoke at some length. So we made some good contacts. I did want to ask Richard, I don't know if you were able to reach out for
we can do that later. We're not asking questions right now. We're still trying to finish the news. Respectfully, thank you for the update about Phil Turney and the USS Liberty. I greatly appreciate that. I'm going to get through the news, though, and then we can come back to that later. Or you could text them privately.
It seemed like we were off news. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Next news item I had was this whole fiasco between Candace Owens and the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro and all this. And I guess Ben came out saying that only cowards believe in conspiracy theories. She and him have been fighting like mad online, and she mentions Fort Huachuca. And my ears perk up because I remember the Barb sent sworn juror affidavit from Frank Gregory Ford that mentions Fort Huachuca.
Big time.
I made a little screen picture of the most significant points of that, what I thought were the most significant points. I just basically trying to get Candace to look at them, trying to get my foot in the door. So it begins on.
You put that on her website or what?
I put that on her, basically responding to her on X. Let me finish to explain to everybody else so I can get them caught up, and then we'll come back to you, Barb, because you'll definitely need to explain a little bit here. So the sworn juror affidavit begins in July 2000, 14 months before 9/11. I was with approximately 35 other senior intelligence agents in a secure, soundproof room in a Quonset hut at Fort Huachuca. The Army Intelligence Training Center in Arizona, where we had gathered for an intelligence briefing. We had already been qualified in other intelligence-related areas, and we were about to receive our badge and credentials as counterintelligence agents. The class commander, Chief Ralph Herbison, came into the room, followed by 3 special briefers who were introduced as being from Able Danger, a military intelligence counterterrorism tracking group, including Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Schaefer. Goes on further to say, and we'll read this in a second. Actually, I should just read it now. Give me a second while I skip there. It says later in this sworn juror affidavit, Herbison said, "We know they are going to launch a terrorist attack on the World Trade Center and select targets on the Washington, D.C. area using hijacked civilian airplanes that they are being led by Osama bin Laden. Able Danger didn't know the exact date, but we were told it for sure happened within an 18-month time window based on information that had been received from 8 different foreign intelligence agencies. We were told that this was going to happen, that there was no question it was going to happen, and that we were to get our affairs in order, blah, blah, blah." Then at the end of it, the most striking thing that I found was this statement. In a phone conversation with the agent of the Army Security Agency in the 2004-2005 timeframe, I was told in the lead up to 9/11 that Netanyahu and Silverstein, the owner of WTC-7 and leaseholder of the WTC Towers, spoke weekly by phone, and that Silverstein gave Netanyahu updates on how the placement of the explosives in the WTC was going. The presumed source for this information would likely be wiretaps or other electronic surveillance, though I do not know this for certain. That's striking. Somebody says something like that. Those are fighting words there. So I wrote this, bottled it all up, sent it to Candace, and on her next show, this is what she had to say, leading me to believe that she got the tip.
Fort Huachuca is involved in lawsuits and sworn affidavits regarding 9/11, people who asserted that the prepping for that took place. The vibes are vibing here at Fort Huachuca. The more of it I learned about Fort Huachuca, and that's why we open you guys to this investigation to send us tips. And I would like to focus you on what we would like to learn. If you have concrete evidence of what occurred at Fort Huachuca.
There it is. More tips at CandaceOwens.com. So I emailed Barb right after that and says, "Barb, get ready to contact Frank Gregory Ford," because he's going to be called up here shortly, I believe. So we put.
I will do that if she gets back to you,
yes,
or somebody gets to me that I'm aware of, because I'm not good at seeing emails if I don't know what the email address is I'm being sent from.
Yep.
To me from. I'll be happy to contact Greg, but knowing Greg, I know him really well. He's a friend as well as a colleague and a whistleblower. I know him really well, and it wouldn't be wise to get him all riled up unless she has expressed interest.
Definitely. Understood. Yeah. No, we're going to patiently wait to see what happens here, because that's just amazing. So
can I explain something really important about?
Yes.
Yeah, you didn't read down in his affidavit to what is really important as far as, well, the whole thing's important. I should point out that Tony Schaefer has denied that he was there.
Yes.
But between Tony Schaefer and Greg Ford, only Greg Ford has signed a sworn juror affidavit under penalty of perjury.
Yep.
Okay. So the really important thing you didn't quite get to in the affidavit, maybe you could link the affidavit in the chat again.
I could do that. Let me just bring this up real quick, Barb, while you're there, since you mentioned it about Tony Schaefer, because I reached out to Tony Schaefer. I want people to see this. We're not bullcrapping here. Let's see. Schaefer.
Yeah, he's got that weird.
Here it is. Tony Schaefer. Here's a conversation between me and Tony Schaefer in private chat. And I said, "Tony, please forgive me for asking this because I'm just an activist trying to make sense of everything I know. I can't tell if it was you or Eric saying no to this question about if you knew specific targets were going to be hit on 9/11. Frank Gregory Ford said that you did know it was a target with an 18-month window. Was that you denying or Eric? If it wasn't you, then I guess you might get into stuff you can't confirm or deny. I guess you can't confirm or deny Israel at least having foreknowledge either. So frustrating for us trying to finish this puzzle." And I sent him the Frank Gregory Ford thing. And he says, "I have no idea who that guy is, and I made 0 trips to Fort Huachuca during the entire run of Able Danger, and I never briefed anyone not cleared." But that's what you would expect to a guy that had his book completely redacted. He's been under an NDA for how long? So even if he wanted to speak out, he couldn't. So
and he's already admitted on recent podcasts that there are things he can't talk about that are the most important. In particular, that Able Danger was an offensive operation intended to kill them, find them and kill them. And so somebody had to tell him not to kill him, which is part of making sure that the alleged hijackers got on the planes to begin with. But the point in the part in the affidavit that's also really critical, and it's also in his book. There was number 5 on the Barnes & Noble bestseller list back in 2018, 2019, by the way. It's called Midnight in Samara. But there's a section in there on the Fort Huachuca interaction, he claims, under penalty of perjury with Able Danger, 3 Able Danger briefers, including Schaefer. And that is that at the end of this briefing, which, by the way, was third party, Chief Herbison had said that he had been briefed by the 3 of them who were there, and that Herbison was basically giving a summary of what he had just been briefed on by the 3 Able Danger people. Okay, so anyway, part of this briefing through Chief Herbison of Fort Huachuca Army Training Base, Counterterrorism Training Base, was that in the Q&A afterwards, there was a very concerned woman, agent from DOJ, Department of Justice in Sacramento. I have her name. I know who she is. Greg knows how to contact her. And she was very concerned, and she chimed in and she said, well, you're telling us that you've been tracking these people since January when, the Al-Hazmi and Al-Midar first came into the country in January 15th, 2000, and that we're now talking about 6 months later in June, mid-June of 2000. At Fort Huachuca, she said, I'm really concerned because you're military, and by law, the CIA and the military are not allowed to do this kind of thing inside the United States. You have to inform the DOJ and the FBI. Have you done that? And according to the affidavit, one of the 3 Able Danger briefers, he's very explicit that one was not Schaefer at that point, chimed in and answered the question and said, yes, we have already briefed everything we have told you and Chief Herbison to the FBI, the CIA, and the NSA. Now, that is completely contradictory. It doesn't necessarily contradict Rosini, who recently was on the Boston 9/11 Truth Group saying, that the CIA station, the Alex station, would not allow his office mate, Doug, I think is the name, or Dave, to forward his memo to the FBI, alerting them that these same 2, Al-Hazmi and Al-Midar, were in the country. They wouldn't allow it. But somehow the FBI, believe me, knew about it and had been briefed. And we also know this because Al-Hazmi and Al-Midar, when they first came into the country, they came into LAX and then they settled for a little bit in the San Diego area. And the apartment or house that they were renting, the landlord was an FBI informant. Of course the FBI knew. So I see Rosini as a gatekeeper. I think that he's probably telling the truth, that he personally and his office mate were not allowed to directly send the memo to FBI headquarters. But that was just to cover the FBI's you-know-what, in my opinion.
All right. Thank you, Barb. Let's go to Carl and then John.
Just John. Carl never put down his
name. Oh, cool.
Well, are we still on news or have we moved beyond news?
Yep, I'll come back to you. John, go ahead.
Okay, I happened to see that program with Candace Owens last night about Huachuca. Did you happen to see it?
The Friday, yes. Yep.
The one about Mitz, interviewing Mitz?
Yep.
Okay.
Interviewing who? I'm sorry, interviewing who?
Was a whistleblower named Mitz, M-I-T-C-H.
Oh, yeah, Mitch. Yeah.
Who had years ago worked at that camp, back in maybe the 60s or 70s, and felt that he was not promoted when he should have been. So, and then he was kept incommunicado or kept under some sort of gag order for 35 years about what he knew there. And then he went back to try to find out once the gag order had expired recently. And when he was there, he saw somebody he was certain was Erica Kirk and a congressman. And then he was sequestered for like 24 hours because something was up. There was something that everybody was acting quite suspicious and tense. This was the day before Charlie was assassinated. And he was kept there until it was already a done deal.
Yep.
And also the head of security for Turning Point America was there.
Yep. But that gets good. Thank you, John, for the update that tries to take us a little bit further out of 9/11 than I want to, but I thank you because there is something going on at Fort Huachuca.
Keeping it short.
Yep. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Wrapping up the news here that I have. Let me pick a different screen. Somebody said we're obscuring the screen. Thank you, Bob, for that. There we go. The last thing, really couple things that I want to mention. One, if you have not seen this yet, please do. The third annual David Ray Griffin Lecture.
Hello,
9/11
and
Truth.
welcome to...
Didn't mean to do that. 9/11 Truth Today by Professor Rich Ellifritz, also with Madhavasetti, Pierce Robinson, and Sandra Laratonda. Good conversation. I really appreciate what Rich had. I started to listen to it again so that I can process it because it's really just full of information that it's hard for the layman to understand because it gets deep into sociology, but I really appreciate what he said. So check it out. Well, wrapping up news. This one is called God in Control. I'm going to do a little reading. This is a gentleman. This was written by Robert Charles, former Assistant Secretary of State under Colin Powell, former Reagan and Bush 41 White House staffer, Maine attorney, 10-year naval intelligence officer, and 25-year businessman. He wrote about a couple books and everything. Today, he is running to be Maine's next governor. So we might want to reach out to him. This is a fantastic story, how he was getting ready to fly on the morning of 9/11. And I just want to read a little bit of it. We all think we're in control. We're not. God is in control. Sometimes it washes over you, almost knocks you over. It's also consoling. On a recent trip to D.C., God's all-knowing hit me again. Hit me hard again. Years ago, 24 to be exact, I was boarding a plane for Phoenix to speak to law enforcement. I flew all the time, never worried about anything but making the plane. Back then, we had no security, no charge for carry-ons, plenty of leg room, even in economy. I like windows, so I got one. Once on board, I put stuff overhead and fell asleep. As I drifted off, I mused how odd the human mind is and wondered why we think what we do when we do. Entering that D.C. airport, a strong feeling, powerful. It was specific and out of nowhere. It made me question why we get random thoughts, and they're gone. The thought was this: you're not late, you're on time. You're turning left to go down a long corridor to get a seat on a no-name airline. If any plane is hijacked today, it will not be yours. So bizarre was this thought. It mystified me. No passenger plane had been hijacked in a decade. This was 2001. A Navy reservist at the Pentagon, I served with Special Intelligence Unit, Chief of Naval Operations. Our spaces had just moved to a different wedge. Ding, ding, ding. Falling asleep, my mind shifted to how gorgeous the day was. Airborne at 7:30 a.m., the sun was bright, painting everything warm, not a cloud in the sky. I loved flying, but promptly fell asleep. Without being too detailed, the next thing I heard was the pilot saying in a calm but unsettled voice that the president had ordered all planes, 4,500, to land wherever they were. We were over Wichita, nose and tail like an Indian elephant's. Dozens of planes lined up and spiraled down. Only on landing did we learn New York's Twin Towers had collapsed. Then a plane was down in Pennsylvania, and one had hit the Pentagon. For 23 hours, I drove to D.C., aimed for home. And he wraps up. So on a brisk day and a gift beyond description, wreaths across America allowed me, just a volunteer, to reconnect with my friends. It felt good. They are still young and alive to me. One by one, they reminded me of the values we shared, things we worked for, what is expected, and this: God is in control. We are not. Sometimes it almost knocks you over. It can also be consoling. I thought that was just fantastic, and it's a reminder to me that in all that we're doing here, all that we're fighting for, God's in control of this. We may question why things are the way they are and why they proceed the way they do, but we are to trust in him. Without getting too preachy, change subject on that, but it still involves God. Pete Davidson and Elise Hewitt welcome baby girl Scotty Rose, name meaning and tribute to his father who died on 9/11. So,
great Scottish name.
yeah, Pete Davidson's dad was named Scott Davidson, and they named the daughter after Scott. So Scotty Rose. So congratulations to Pete Davidson and his wife. And he had a rough time. At 7, he lost his dad. His dad was 33 years old at the time. So he's 32 now. He's about the age when his dad passed away. It's just got to be hitting him hard. So thoughts and prayers to him and his family and the new baby girl. Almost last. Turning the Tide 911.org website is live. We're going to start for planning, or we've been in the works of starting for planning for the September 11th, 2025 Washington, D.C. Oh, this is going to be in New York. Wait,
What is the website address? Could you tell us?
I'm confused. Yes, it's Turning the Tide 911.org. And this is actually recap of last year's and also starting the planning for next year's. And down at the bottom, there is an email address. Sandra, if you want to speak on that.
Well, not much to say. You can read it for yourself. As a stay informed, sign up to receive updates about Turning the Tide 26 and ways to get involved. So, yeah, that'll be a line of communication for starters anyway. The links to the various groups are not active yet. And like Jean said, this is basically the site that features the talks. Now, if you go under talks, they've got it broken down by day, and then they have it broken down by segment, which up until now, it was just like one long big sausage, and you had to have the exact timestamp for the thing that you wanted to watch. But now you can watch them all individually. I believe Madhavassetti's introduction, which was cut off live, is here in full. And you got a gallery with pictures. So that's just, reflection on what happened 3 months ago. And we're starting to prepare. This will be the website that we'll use to promote the anniversary in New York in September of 2026, which right now is looking to be a 4-day event with a potential for 5 days. Right now it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, starting on the 10th. And, one of the biggest complaints about Washington was just that we were so squeezed for time that we had no spare time to talk to each other, sit down, have a chat, go for coffee, go for lunch, go for break, connect with people that, it's your once in a lifetime chance to see them face to face and have a talk. So we're trying to make more room for that. But yeah, we're still in the very, very preliminary stages of gathering potential speakers, discussing themes. There's going to be obviously the 9/11 pure, if you will. Yeah, for just the evidence, just anything that develops between now and then. There'll be some geopolitical. There will be overlaps, I think, into other areas, parallels and whatnot. And we'll try to make room for entertainment, whether it's a band that has relevant music to, I don't know, pushing back against the system in general, or maybe 9/11 specifically. Maybe comedy, because comedy is still a great way to get through to people by, making respectful but lighthearted fun of how ridiculous the official narrative is. So yeah, it's chugging along those lines. And yeah, that'll be the site to go to.
Nice. Thank you. So check it out. It's turningthetide911.org. Last news item I had was just checking with Richard on the progress of episode 5, Crime Scene to Courtroom. If he's there. There he is.
Yes, December 28th is Sunday, and we'll be broadcasting 9/11 crime scene to courtroom at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Nice. Thank you. Sunday.
Thank you. This is the section on explosions. So it's the 5th out of 6 episodes, but it's the most exciting one.
Excellent.
And
Yeah.
Richard, you'll be sending mass emails soon about how to get on and all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So Sunday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Check it out. It'll be at 911c2c.org as well as on social media. Just follow Richard's account on X, Facebook, or somewhere else.
No, it's a great way to step out of 2025.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
And let's go to the hands now. Table's open. And I do want to remind people, I just want this to be about 2 hours, like 2.5, 3 hours is just too long. And I do like the idea of going around the room at the end. So if you don't have anything to share at the end, this is just like literally less than 30 seconds, just a little wrap up thought or something you want to share. This isn't time for another 2-minute discussion or opening up discussions with anything else. So about 5:30 or 6:30, I'll go around the room. Should give everybody, quick 30 seconds to say something.
Yeah.
So it gives about 40 minutes right now from now, opening up the table for any conversations anybody wants to have.
Yeah, and just for the record, Gene really wants this around the room. I told him, I go, if you keep running out of time, why don't you just say, listen, if you have any last words, just raise your hand. No. And they're not going to say the same thing as if we speak to them directly. So he really wants to give everyone a chance to say a couple of words, but not like 2,000 words.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the hands. I got 4 of them up. Jack, go ahead.
Yes, getting back to Erica Kirk, there was a meeting of TP this weekend, I guess, and it was very, very magnificent. She was up on stage and a lot of music, and there was a very, very deep voice in the background announcing her and speaking for her. And it was exactly the same as at the APAC conferences. It really exactly the same. And it's like a voice of God because it's a very deep voice and it's far away. They use echoes or something to make it sound like it's very far away, announcing things. So that was my observation. Thanks.
Was it the same voice or just another deep male voice?
It sounds like the same, but I'd have to compare them next to each other. But it's the same idea. I studied that at MIT, public relations. They really can impress people to the point of crying, with the way they arrange these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to interject. At this day and age, you don't know that because you hear the voice that it's really that person. They can imitate those. They have voice morphine technology. So
that's something people don't understand is these are $100 million operations, at least the APAC. The public relations, it costs a huge amount of money and will employ hundreds or thousands of people to make these various projects work. This is very, very high paid and very sophisticated stuff.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not sure what the point is you're trying to make, because APAC, Israel has openly supported TPUSA. So to establish a connection is not really earth shattering in that sense. Or am I missing something?
I'm making the point that they're really using sophisticated mind control thing. When I was younger, I would go to something like that and cry, and they really can control people very, very well.
All right, thank you, Jack.
Just a comment on that. I sent Gene and Sandra about an hour or two before this war room a New York Times article from yesterday on how that Turning Point America Fest that you're referring to event, that it turned into name calling by Ben Shapiro against Tucker Carlson and Candace Owen, and on and on and on. That it was just a real mess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, that's a different one, Barbara. This wasn't a debate. This was a presentation as to,
No, it
you
is
know,
The same
So
thing.
You're talking
thing?
about America Fest, the
Yeah.
first one since he was killed. It's the same one the New York Times article is about. Maybe Gene or Sandra can post it on the chat.
I already had mentioned that, that AmFest was just a debacle there of slurs where Ben Shapiro said that conspiracy theorists are cowards, which Barry Weiss amplified on social media all over the place as well. So they're doing their best with the propaganda. That just is what it is. Thank you,
And then
Jack.
Candace Owen called Shapiro from the podium, called Shapiro something like a grotesque belly crawler.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. Carl.
Yes, my profile pic shows the cover of a book at 9/11 explained to the FBI. I mentioned it last week. I just started reading it really today, and it looks worthwhile. It dive into Arnon Milchan's history of producing films, that many of which are predictive programming, arguably, including the Medusa Touch. But in this context of the two video clips I have in chat, the movie JFK programmed everybody to think inside job, CIA, Pentagon, military industrial complex. Whereas literally about that same time, Milken is probably part of the group that's smuggling nuclear technology to Israel, which Kennedy is in opposition to. So one of the videos is a little bit long, like 7 minutes, but the first 4 minutes, actually, first it would be beneficial to see Rob Reiner. Timely news. He just passed away, but this was at the 2023 60th anniversary JFK conference in Pittsburgh. And arguably, if JFK's removal was to get Zionist LBJ there to greenlight the Six-Day War, it's all foundational to 9/11. So this is an exercise in seeing controlled opposition at work. You'll see I ask a very specific question of Rob Reiner, and then he immediately launches into telling the Oliver Stone JFK film, fake story. But then the longer video, the first 4 minutes or so, are especially worthwhile, where I actually got to ask Oliver Stone in person about Arnon Milchan. So I'll leave you. I hope to show those clips.
Yep, I'll leave that to the people right now. In the interest of time, if I have a chance in the next half hour, I will come back to that. I ordered the book, Carl, so thank you. It should be here. It said the day after Christmas, so I'll be checking into it. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Is this a new book?
Yep, October 7th, 2025 by Philippe. Come on, Sandra, help me there.
What's the name?
I can't read that.
Oh.
Volpolaris.
It looks like Vulpillard, but
Yeah.
that's weird even for French. So
Okay, there we go. And with that, let's go to another French name, Carol Brûlé.
Brouillet.
Brûlé.
I'm going to have to jump in and out of this because I'm doing a lot of holiday cooking. But I saw a video today and it disturbed me because it featured John Kiriakou. And I didn't know if it was created by artificial intelligence because it was following a very formulaic sort of a pitch to sell a health product. But in the pitch, he was saying that the real reason that he went to jail from the CIA was because he had found out about some deep secret that the CIA wanted to hide about activating the pineal gland, which they wanted to save for their, most powerful agents, et cetera, et cetera. And it went and launched in a big thing about how the entire U.S. population was subjected to fluoride and the destruction of the pineal gland, in the wake of World War II. And I just wondered, does anyone have contact with John or know if he is being used to sell this product? Or does anyone have any idea if it was actually him doing this? Because I remember you said that he spoke at the conference for the $500, but this seemed like such a scam that if he was doing it, he would be raking in a lot more money. Wouldn't bother with 9/11 truth conferences.
I have seen those videos that you're talking about where it makes you wonder. Was he with anybody? Was he in front of a background that we would recognize? Maybe, like, for instance, here he's been on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, he was talking to some, I think it was that guy, Top Secrets, Dr. Phil, and also Joe Rogan. They had clips of him talking to other people, and then they had, testimonials about how this wonderful product, changed people's lives and gave them superpowers, etc. But but it was so canned. It almost seemed like some of the people who were giving statements and testimonies that they were reading from a script, but it was so scripted, and it was just hitting all these
If anybody finds
talking points. Anyway, I was curious because I do know that you could use AI to. Somebody said that RFK was interviewed because there were so many outrageous statements that he said, and somebody wanted to say, okay, tell us about this. And he denied that he had said any of them. He said all of those are AI generated. I never said anything like that.
Yeah, and I mean, you open up, I mean, this is like on such a higher level, but I mean, it was already a little bit of the Wild West on the internet in terms of trying to figure out what's real, what's true. But we had tools, we had the Wayback Machine, we have TinEye, which was great for images. Once I discovered that, I never shared another image without fact checking it in TinEye to see if it really was a picture of what they said it was.
What? How do you spell that? What is it?
TinEye, TINEYE.com.
Tin.
Yeah, and if you're questioning, where the source really of a picture, if someone says this was a picture taken last week at the protest against whatever, and you load it up and you see that it's actually a rock concert in Finland from 1992, then and this happens all the time. But so that was then. And now with AI, it's becoming increasingly difficult to figure out if something that's being said was really said. And oftentimes you can just, Gene's done it for kicks, for creative kicks. You take a clip and you just take out one sentence and you change it to, something that would be funny if they said it or whatever. And you insert it, you find a program that imitates the voice 100%. So I would say if and when in doubt, unless you have overwhelming evidence or proof that somebody said something, if you're getting it from multiple sources. I've seen people with clips of Rob Reiner calling Donald Trump, horrific names. He never said those things, but there they are. And it's going to be a battle on so many levels.
Yeah,
to figure out the truth of things now.
I've just been spending a couple minutes trying to search for that anywhere, and I can't find it. So, I don't know what to believe yet. Anybody
can
else
I mention something?
Yeah, hang on one second.
Real quick on this subject.
If anybody else finds that video clip, please send it to us or let us know, and we'll let Carol know. So thank you. Go ahead, Greg, real quick.
But real quick.
Yeah, I'm just going to mention that, I've been noticing on YouTube in recent months, they'll have some celebrity person endorsing some product, and it's obviously fake. They have like the Prime Minister of Canada doing it. They have the guy that's on the Shark Tank, used to be Kevin O'Leary, that used to be whatever, and a number of others. And it's interesting to me that YouTube, is so quick to censor and jump in, and even with copyright, when somebody's doing a reaction video to a song or something, they're so quick to take it down for copyright, and yet they can have the Prime Minister of Canada like selling some product in an obviously fake video, and it just never goes away. It's always left up there.
Yep.
Crazy.
Good point. Thank you, Carol. Good luck with the cooking.
Thanks.
Go, Chuck.
Hey, I just have a couple thoughts. You shared a picture from early in the 9/11 Truth Movement, and there was a big, it was a parade or procession or whatever, and they had a big banner of peace, and I think that's important for the 9/11 Truth Movement, especially, to be explicitly out front about. And that was a nice little reminder picture you shared way back when a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it's on the wiki page for it. That's funny.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
I think that's what you were talking about.
No, he's talking about
the other one. All right. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
There was, yeah, that it was, yeah, find it. But so, and then today you shared about Agent Crowley's testimony. And I think this frames very well the fact of the cover up. And which is, again, I think language that if we're making appeals to Senator Johnson, are we just asking for an investigation, really? And I think we should be, and I don't, filing an indictment for those who covered up and denied the authentic forensic examination of the site. And so that's what I want. That's kind of a thought that's been running in my head. This question of prior knowledge is interesting because, of course, in dancing Israelis indicate Mossad had prior knowledge, but the United States had prior knowledge, but the prior knowledge was they needed to, the orchestrators of the event needed to have the patsy, and the patsy was and is the Arab, Muslim, and so on. And so it appears as though this is either the FBI investigating itself and invest in discovering a CIA secret operation to insinuate these patsies. I don't honestly know the gory details of this, but clearly there's the cover up. It's not just FBI incompetence, quote, lack of imagination. Remember that? Thinking of the appeal to Senator Johnson as the delivery of indictment might be something that the truth movement advances. So, and I'll just close with this. Alexis Baden-Mayer is the political director at the Organic Consumer Association. We had her on a Tap Talk before, and she's coming back. But she's a lawyer, and we're going to be looking at the actual, criminal implications of these cover-ups for the people who were on duty at the time. And I know there's been sentiment on this call to not go after the bad guys, but to have some kind of magical reconciliation of peace and so on. But I don't agree with that, of course. So opposing empire and forever wars, that puts us on the high ground. And that's what all this has been about, advancing that. So, and I really appreciate the Agent Crowley clip you shared. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just clarification. I've never wished for some magical thing. I would like to see justice. I'd like to see people go to jail. I would like to see policies put into place that don't allow government to have rogue parts of their intelligence agencies be able to do things and then keep it and cover it up. That's a problem. What you might be alluding to, Eric, lawyer, has shared, well, we need to be in the realization that to live as if the justice has already happened.
I think it was Josh Schoenfeld left
okay.
a couple of months ago or whenever I articulated the sentiment, and his reply was, it may not have been Josh, it might have been someone else, but someone, I don't, so people can correct the record, what they think.
Everybody sees it, how justice to be different. Some people were like, no, I really don't care if people go to jail anymore at this point. I don't share that, but yeah, we're all over the place on that one. Thank you, Chuck. And I did find, and I want to share a little tidbit before I go to you, Mike. I was looking, I remembered I had it in a David Ray Griffin post I made on Facebook, and then I find it, but I also want to share a tip. We were talking about tin eye, and we mentioned this a couple of times, but for Barb's benefit or anybody else, if you find an image, you want to find the best version of this image. You would right-click on the image, open image in the new tab, and then up on the top in that address bar that gives you the URL for that image, you would copy it. And then you go to tineye.com, and you would upload an image. Or no, I'm sorry, don't upload the image. You just put the URL in there. You can't upload the image if you want to download it. You just put the URL right there and sort it by biggest image, and it will find the biggest version of that image out on the internet. So then now I can click and say, okay, this is the biggest version of that.
Yeah, that's a whole
Yeah,
different.
hey, I need that image in my.
Okay.
That's too good. That's too perfect.
Here we go. I'll just paste.
But I don't need it big. I just need it to post into a newsletter, for example.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, Gene cares very much about the quality of the images that he uses for his memes and other purposes. So he will go to actually sorting it by size, but you can sort it by all kinds of different things.
Then you find clues that you couldn't normally see. Like I just noticed now there's a URL. It says truthaction.org. So I'd go to truthaction.org, see if it exists anymore. Here's another tip. Let's try truthaction.org. And it's probably going to be defunct, which will lead us to, oh no, it's still up. That's fantastic. That's great. So now I got something else to look at. But if this page didn't come up, who in the room, just real quick, where would you go if this website didn't exist anymore?
Wayback or whatever you
Wayback
call
Machine. That's it.
Internet Archive.
Yep. Archive.org, Wayback Machine. Yep. And you'll be able to come and check it out. So thank you.
Thanks for sharing, Gene.
Yep. Let's go to Mike, Florida.
Yeah, the message that we need to project is treason, not terrorism. That's the message. And we really need to shift gears and get away from this myopic focus on buildings and, why did this happen, when in actuality, we've already proven those points and we need to shift gears. Regarding the TPUSA AmFest, I would not give 1 ounce of credit for the depiction the New York Times gave of what happened. I'll tell you the truth, what happened. BS, Ben Shapiro, is losing. He is becoming hated by most people, that think logically within the TPUSA movement. Tucker Carlson blasted him and did a profound job. Then they had open mic and they had Q&A and comments. And it was all about Israel, and it was all very hostile to Israel. So this is a very good sign that this is taking place. I think we have a lot to celebrate in that regard. So I applaud what is happening at TPUSA at the AmFest out in Arizona. Now, of course, you did have your propagandist. You had your fair share of Israeli advocates, but the evidence is overwhelming, and the Q&A really showed you where the direction of this movement is headed, and they are fearful. Ron Johnson has requested the most convincing evidence be presented to him. And I would like to ask again, I've been asking it for months, but when will we get to see a preliminary copy of this document that is going to be presented to him so that more people can have input before it's actually handed to him? Do you know, Gene or Sandra, or anybody?
We're not in the loop on that at all. The only person who can speak to that is Richard, that's on this call. If he wants to share what he knows, I'm not sure if he. There he is. Okay.
We're having breakfast.
Long night.
Yeah, we're starting to put together an outline. We'll make that public when we're ready. There's I don't know, 6 months before we're going to be giving it to Johnson's team. So there's plenty of time for input.
All right. Well, thank you, Richard. Appreciate that.
Just to clarify, Richard, it won't be 6 months before you hopefully give him the outline. You're talking about the report, right?
Yes, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I need to kind of mention this treason, not terror, that you say that we need to get behind and we need to push instead of whatever else everybody else is pushing.
Well, that's not what I said. I didn't say it like that.
Oh,
That is the key message. It's treason, not terrorism. The government's version teaches everyone to think it was a terrorist act, when in actuality it was treasonous act. Everybody can agree on that. I am not telling you that everybody has to agree on it, but logic and truth dictates that, not me.
That's inherent, and it is the logical conclusion of everything we're doing in the name of 9/11 truth. That is, because you've said it several times, and and maybe I'm misinterpreting the way you're saying it, but it was a we need to stop this and start saying that, or so that's what I was going to ask,
Quick feedback to Mike on that. Mike, if there are foreign players whose loyalty is elsewhere, they can't really be charged with treason. But also domestically, there is the Machiavellian idea that, oh, it's essential for the future of America that we have this self-inflicted wound that we can blame on the preferred enemies, so we have the new American century. So, yeah, in the realm of covert operations, self-inflicted wounds would strangely not be considered treason.
Interesting point.
Well, the fact is, though, nothing could have happened without the approval or the acceptance by the United States government. The military looked the other way. The security at all the buildings looked the other way. None of this could have happened first unless our government was complicit and the officials within the various agencies and departments. So it's clearly an act of treason, and whether or not it had collaborators of foreign origins, that's obvious, and it did. But the act first starts here at home with our leaders, and that's who committed the acts of treason. But I really don't expect anything to come from a presidential commission. We have evidence and past historical proof that we can't trust our government. Now, just recently, last week, they can't even release the Epstein files. And this is outrageous. So what makes us think that a presidential commission is going to produce any substance? It'll be a bunch of smoke and mirrors and happy talk, and they'll throw us some bones, and then they'll adjourn. Look what happened to Anna Paulina Luna.
I don't want to get at 6:17, and I got a lot of hands up. I want to try to wrap at 6.
She was supposed to present information on 9/11, and it never happened. And only twice did she do it on JFK. So a court prosecution is the only way to go.
Yep.
And you're not going to get it through Ron Johnson.
I'm going to remain optimistic, and also want to remind this.
Every nation in every region now has a decision to make. Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
Well, if the treasonous people are the terrorists, we've got quite a conundrum. Thank you, Mike.
Bingo.
One more sentence. Anna Paulina Luna was appointed to be part of this commission. Ron Johnson, at the very least, is convinced himself of this, of the need to look into this. So he's got a personal stake in it, and that's what gives me more hope with Johnson than with someone like Luna.
And as far as Ben, whatever his name is, Benjamin
Biscona?
No.
Shapiro?
Amfest. Yeah, Shapiro. I've heard comments saying, go ahead, Shapiro, keep doing what you're doing because you're making the case for the other side. Yeah, he's a debacle right now that's in full implosion. So thank you, Mike.
Yep. Could somebody tell us where's the best place to watch the Turning Point America Amfest video?
I've been checking out clips on X.
Yeah, I know where it's at. It's the best place to watch the full version is Right Side Broadcasting on YouTube.
Nice.
Right, RIGHT side.
Yeah, Right Side Broadcasting, YouTube.
Okay, thank you.
A quick reply to Mike, if I can.
Yes.
You said Ron Johnson is not going to go anywhere with this. Let's look at what he just accomplished with COVID, a set of hearings that brought forth the best of the truth tellers in the COVID truth movement. And that's a stage. Now, he can provide a platform, and he has essentially promised to do that for 9/11, and he's already done it for COVID. So if we get in Senate hearings, he's not
responsible for where that goes. We're going to hold him responsible for getting us there. And that will be absolutely historic in the 9/11 truth movement. So let's not downplay this before it begins. You're just playing into, you're sabotaging our work, Mike.
No,
Well,
I
Richard,
did.
Mike, let me interject for you, Mike.
I don't need your
have
help,
Mike
Carl.
response.
I don't need your help, Carl. I would like to respond to Richard.
Thanks.
Richard, I'm not sabotaging it. I'm being a realistic person with past historic examples. And I just gave a recent one with the Epstein files.
And I just
I'm
gave
all
you one
for
with COVID for Ron Johnson with COVID.
Yeah,
So
that
talk
was
about
great.
that.
That was great. But what really needs to happen is a prosecution with a grand jury with COVID. But even with that, we cannot trust our own government to prosecute vigorously. The prosecutors brag about indicting ham sandwiches if they want to. In other words, they indict who they want and who they don't want. So we can't trust a prosecution by our own government. We have not ever, since JFK, been able to trust investigations by commissions. Time and time and time again, they've proven to be false, incompetent, and impotent.
You're making a different point, though, than I made.
What's that?
You're making a different point than I made. I said Johnson did deliver with regard to the COVID Senate hearings, and he's promised essentially to deliver with regard to 9/11 Senate hearings. That is not not going anywhere, which is what you said.
Well, there's a lot of bark, but no bite. We need bite. We need substantive bite. We've been barked at for years.
But we're talking about Johnson and what he's promised.
Yeah, and they're all bought and paid for by Israel, and we know this.
Mike, I don't understand. We're trying to build, get people, rally the team to go forward, and I appreciate you because you do like the hard knocks. You like you want action. You want it. But then to come in and then try to deflate everybody doesn't make any sense to me.
No, I'm just being realistic.
Yeah.
I urge you all to continue. I'm all for what you're doing.
I watched the last call, and when I try to make a point, you continue to interrupt me too as well. So please let me finish my thought in that, we're driving for an objective. We can only go with what is available ahead of us, and we're doing it in different avenues, and everybody wants to do it their own way. That's fine. That's cool. But being realistic is still sticking a knife in a tire. Like, let's just say, hey, we're going to move forward. We're still moving forward. Doors are being opened, and we're going to try the best we can.
Yeah, just because I'm being realistically critical, don't shoot me down. I mean, I'm just telling the truth.
Yeah.
The evidence and facts. Okay, now you're interrupting me. I'm trying to respond to you, and you're interrupting me. Okay, look. I hope and applaud what you're doing. I hope you succeed.
Thank you.
But I don't think it's going to happen. Not with this
that's
Congress.
The way to say it. That's the way to say it. Thank you.
They're bought and paid for by Israel.
Okay. Yes. So is our court system, by the way. So is our justice system.
Yeah.
The whole goddamn thing is compromised.
That's right.
We just have to do what we can do, where we're doing it, and that's what we're doing, and we expect your support.
I do, and that's why I want to see what the document is that's going to be presented to Ron Johnson. That's going to play a big part in the process. And it just seems like there's so much control about what's going on behind the scenes, and this is not good. There needs to be.
Let's address that.
We've come a hell of a long way.
Yeah, we have.
We've come a hell of a long.
Okay.
Let me address that last point. Johnson has said openly, I'm open for business. Send me your best evidence. You can do that, Mike. You don't need us. We're just a group of people who have put together our own stuff. It's not going to include what you want in there. And that's the way it is. You can include your own stuff and send it directly to him.
How do you know it won't include what I want?
because you've talked about what you wanted in there, and it's
What
not going to.
specifically are you referring? Can you say?
I said.
Yeah, we're not going to be discussing Israel.
Oh, okay. That's what I figured. Why is that?
No, we're not doing this. This is it was supposed to be.
No, Gene, this is exactly what we need to do, and I asked to please go next because for continuity.
But that was disingenuous to ask Richard, what don't you think is in there? Mike knew what was not going to be in there.
Yeah, but everybody else didn't, Gene. Everybody else didn't know.
Strategy.
I yield to Carl.
Our best evidence is going to be in there.
May I go next without anybody else being everyone else muted? Thank you. Now, when I met Ron Johnson on June 2nd, the first thing I said to him before I described my assignment sifting the finer rubble of 7, I said, Senator Johnson, if you want more people who are involved in the 9/11 cleanup, et cetera, to come forward, government people, you need to pass a resolution or announce that you are freed from your non-disclosure agreements because, I was placed under one when I tried to leave it. I did leave the government in 2007. May I finish? Wait. Why am I being cut off?
I'm not cutting you off. I'm saying you've shared it 4 or 5 times.
Let me finish. Let me see, because I'm trying to stay. It's just I knew this was going to do this. I wanted to wrap this up at 6:30. That's in 5 minutes. We got 6 hands up, and now.
Gene.
Hang on. I'm going to continue. You keep interrupting me, Carl, and there's going to be an exit door here for you. What I'm going to say is that we will talk about this now, but realize now we're going to push that I'm not going to be able to end this at 7 like I wanted to. And I realize this is a hot button issue. Israel definitely needs to be dealt with. We realize that. But you can't get these people to.
May I speak?
As soon as the difficulty, we know that we want.
May I speak?
In a minute. Christopher Bullen, as you heard me earlier in the show, I've been trying to contact Chris to get Chris to be part of the 25th anniversary event. We also know that this is definitely an issue. And we all know. I just got done talking about how much Israel's involvement in everything there is. But as somebody brought up, and Benjamin Biskiner addressed this in the last call or last 2 calls, we get our foot in the door with a certain amount of information, and then discovery happens. It will lead there. It will definitely lead there. But if you lead with that, people are going to clam up. That's my point. Carl, go ahead. Here we go.
Well, since 9/11, by definition, was declared to be an act of war, there is not going to be any criminal prosecution because all the evidence was destroyed and it's viewed as an act of war. The federal government is not going to try to prosecute anybody criminally. But back to the NDA, Johnson, why hasn't he issued an announcement on one of the podcasts he goes on? Hey, you folks out there, if you have an NDA, forget about it. We'll protect you. Please come forward. That is essential if he really wants to have the information. Yeah, he said his door was open, but yet a week before the DC conference, Richard, I'll ask you what. I mean, that was before you ever gave me his email address. Why did he erase me from his memory and saying he had no way to contact me? Please contact me if you hear this podcast on both Corbett and on Brett Weinstein. Why did he do that? It's because I'd mentioned Israel in my my interview?
It's probably the same reason I did.
It come off a little rough, to be honest with you, Carl.
No. No, Richard. Richard, articulate. Go ahead.
You make yourself a problem, and he told me that you were spamming him.
No. Before
we're
I
getting
ever had his
spammed
email,
on this conversation as well.
Before I had his email, 5 days before I had his email address, I could never have spammed him, and he already went on Corbett to say to cancel me, to say we have no way to contact this guy. It's like he just disappeared 6 weeks after his committee interviewed me. So going back before you claim I light banter about spamming multiple emails, well, 5 days before that, why did he do that?
I don't
Was
know
it because I talked about Israel when I was interviewed by his PSI committee?
I don't know.
Maybe those are his cards he's playing.
I think it was.
Yeah, I think Richard knows too.
It's probably your personality.
Well, there
Fuck
could
you,
be both.
Richard.
No, that hey, easy. We're not doing that. I mean it's known. People talk about it. Carl, you come off a little harsh. Sometimes it helps us to the benefit because you do amazing confrontations to people. I love some of those. It's fantastic. But it just gets a little pushy, a little too pushy, and it turns people off, to be honest.
Well, things are being steered. Things are being guided.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to move on because I don't want this to be the rest of the show.
It turns off the weak and the guilty.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Let's go to Magnus.
Oh, thank you. Great
Wait
to
a
see you,
second.
John.
Was that a pot
Jean.
shot?
Nice dressed.
Sorry,
Very
say it again,
beautiful.
Magnus.
You guys are very nice dressed. Great to see you. I was asking you, Jean, because I actually have a few videos for you, the last news.
All right,
But they are buried down there under Barbara's comment. And I just wanted to add that I'm still using the old videos from Richard Gage where he was standing on the stage and using the bottle and a monitor and this huge wide screen where he showed a building dropping down and how fast is this building dropping down, and then he dropped the bottle. It's an old video I'm still using, so we are not over the buildings. We are using this.
Is it this one, Magnus? Oh, yes.
Oh yeah, that's one of them. 18 seconds into that one, yes.
So this is the Stephen Bykowski video. Well, not this one. The first one was Stephen Bykowski.
Okay.
And 18-second coming up. This one, I'm not sure who did this one.
Yeah, that's the building 7, right in the middle of the collapse. So I have a video under that. It's a homemade video. I have right under this link. There we go. That's a top-down demolition. It's 4 or 5 seconds into a controlled demolition, top-down.
Yeah, it would be if it was a top-down, but it was a bottom-up. So I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
but the top was blown up 3 seconds before this. I had to cut the video because I wanted to use the middle of the video into the collapse.
Ah, okay. I got you.
I'm gonna work harder on this, but it's a funny app actually, so I'm gonna send it to you.
All right.
I was wondering, do you see a video where I said 28 seconds into the video?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
28 seconds into this video, then I got to move on. Whoops, wrong person. Let me not share that one. Let me try this again. Oh, man, it's getting harder and harder to keep it under 2 hours. I'm trying.
That's so hurry.
Yeah. How far into this? 28 seconds.
Yeah.
5, 6, 7. Here we go.
Just need a few seconds. Thank you.
I see.
This morning. Running away very, very quickly. There are more explosions further down the building. It was calm until we came on the air now, but I'm now looking up at this building, and there is smoke billowing from the very top, but then there is a fire and an explosion about 20 stories further down. I was at the base of the building when it happened. There was
20 stories down.
Yeah, that was interesting. What was that? BBC. An explosion that happened about 20 stories further down.
Yeah.
Have to look into that. I'm wondering if maybe from the perspective that he saw, the explosion when the South Tower got hit may have looked like an explosion 20 floors down in one. Who knows? Interesting, though. You give us something to look at. Appreciate it.
And then you have to save the last video for the next time, because that's Rudy Giuliani on the street saying the other buildings are structurally unsound. We are fearing other buildings to collapse.
Thank you,
that's
Meg.
3:40 in the afternoon, so I suspect that's building 7. So look at that later. Thank you.
10-4. Thank you. Thanks, brother. Good to see you.
Great to see you.
Jack.
Yes, Ron Johnson is a famous person. So if the presidential hearing doesn't happen or doesn't go forward or is short-circuited, we still have another famous person speaking out, and he is pretty famous of all the senators. And he's an example of people changing their mind, because 4 or 5 years ago, I heard him on C-SPAN saying it was ridiculous to think that 9/11 was an inside job, just totally dismissive of it. And now he's completely come around. And speaking of presidential investigations, they found out why there's problems with the Epstein files, because they ordered a bunch of highlighters and they were mislabeled. They were all black market Sharpies.
Wah, wah, wah. Thank you. Clarify one thing. We keep intermingling three different avenues, legislative, judicial, and executive. The presidential commission is an executive level. That's one avenue. Next, we have the judicial, which would be a grand jury, which we are looking into approaching Jay Clayton, the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York, to approach that. That's another one. That's grand jury. That's that one, judicial branch. Then you have the legislative branch. And from that, we have two forks in the road. We do have Ron Johnson in the Senate saying he will, in a permanent subcommittee, do a hearing. But we also had Luna with the House saying with this task force and the declassification of federal secrets, she said at that long list of things that they would declassify or start to approach because they don't have declassification rights. Only the president does. But they were going to look into like all this other stuff. And the last thing she said was 9/11. So many different avenues. They're all separate from each other. And they're all things that we should be pushing forward.
And I just wanted to add to what Jack just said. Not only did Ron Johnson come around, I actually didn't know this, that he was so vehemently against it. But regardless of where it goes, just the fact that there will be this platform under Ron Johnson, he who does have a lot of credibility and support in the American population, that alone carries a lot of weight, regardless of outcome. And it will allow for people to open their minds, just like Tucker did. And now he will too, on a whole other level, allow for people to consider things. And that's what gets the ball rolling and brings it to other things that open other doors. So let's just roll with it.
Oh, let's roll.
With it.
With it. Good. Jack, you were done. Let's go to Craig.
I just wanted to, I was a bit confused when Jack was talking. I thought he was talking about two different people. He was first talking about Johnson, then he was talking about someone else. And I was not clear on who the second person was, but if it was all Johnson, then I guess I just misheard, I suppose. I just wanted to make a comment about the effort now that's being undertaken to create a document to be sent to Johnson. I just think it's worth. I agree that we need to think in strategic terms, and I know that not everything that we might want in a document will necessarily be in there. Certainly not initially, but I do want to make the point that the effort that Richard's talking about that involves Ted, Walter, Piers Robinson, and it's a group of 5 people as I understand it. It is, I think, understood by Ron Johnson when he made his appeal at the Turning the Tide conference. He said basically he was speaking to the entire truth movement when he said, you need to get your evidence together and get it to me, or in whatever way he said that. And so it's fine. I agree that what Richard said, that anybody can send stuff to Ron Johnson, but this particular group and the document they're working on is understood, I think, by Johnson to be kind of coming from the movement. And that's why I think it should not, it isn't just up to those 5 people only. I guess technically it could be if they just send it in, but I think there needs to be some input from the rest of the movement in some way. And I know that's difficult because, you got a lot of views and a lot of people, and it's very hard to come to any sort of consensus. But I also want to make it very clear that group is really, dealing with Johnson on behalf of all of us. It's not just 5 truthers that are contacting him independently, and then another 5 can do it on their side. This really carries the weight of, where truthers are coming from, and therefore it is important to consider things and whether we're leaving out important evidence. And obviously, I think I think there are things that can be included that don't necessarily involve going, into a theory that's not credible, but can just at least raise concerns about different aspects of the story and not only focus necessarily on the towers. So I think we need some vehicle for input into what that group is going to do.
Okay, if I can,
Yeah, go
you
ahead.
mind? Okay, so I perfectly understand what you're saying, that, yeah, it's all fine and dandy that anybody can submit anything to Johnson, that this particular group does seem to have, this kind of position that carries more weight and will be given maybe more attention than your average random email that comes in through Ron Johnson's inbox. So I absolutely understand that. The counter argument or question is, do you ask for everybody's input? Do we open up the doors? Because where do you draw the line on whose input you're asking for, how much they should provide, how much weight they get? And because you're going to get like 500 different whatever. And then the question is, who decides? Who decides? You have a vote
Yeah.
of 500 people? Does that even sound remotely realistic, rather than saying that these 5 people who've been doing this and have
Well, let me interrupt there too, real quick. When we say these 5 people, right, you listed a couple that were with the International Center for 9/11 Justice, but there's a representative from the Lawyers Committee for 9/11 Inquiry, which would be Mick Harrison. You have Richard Gage, who was
I'm
formerly.
sorry, I need to correct that. Mick Harrison
Yeah.
is not
He's not.
representing the lawyers.
Okay, he doesn't represent them, but he's associated with
the
prior
legal
works, the legal
perspective.
perspective. Yes, and then we have Raul Angulo, which is part of the firefighters, and Richard, who was associated with Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. So we've got quite a group than just IC.
Well, you do, but you have 40% of this group is made of people that are working with the IC. That's 2 out of 5. Nobody from the current lawyers committee is there. And Mick Harrison may have had associations, with them and certainly, but he's not with them now. And so that kind of raises the question in my mind, why is he there and not somebody who's currently with the lawyers committee?
They refused. The lawyers committee voted, the board voted unanimously that I would be the liaison to the group, the representative of the lawyers committee, and it was refused.
In my opinion, just because Mick has done the legwork for the legal, the litigation the most. He has the most familiarity with the actual filing the filings and doing such and such. And that's just my opinion. I don't know.
I think that's a problem. I think that's a signal of a problem when you've got the lawyers committee nominating someone who is their current chair, to be part of this, and that's being refused. Yeah. That's a problem.
Yeah, if we wanted to concentrate on that, yeah, I don't.
Well, I mean, we're talking about whether this 5 people group represents the movement well enough, and I think there are some current concerns there.
Yeah, let me just say, the lawyers committee would have been just as concerned and upset if our board had voted that Jane Clark, the co-founder with Mick, who's our representative, or attorney Charlotte Dennett or attorney Bruce Lichty. It didn't matter. The group, and by the way, that the vote did not include Richard or Mick. It was the others who voted not to accept the unanimous choice of the lawyers committee. So, that's just a political fact.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what to say, and I want to move on because I really would like to try to wrap up.
That's fine. I just wanted to raise that concern.
Thank you, sir. Thanks. Mike, and then Mike. Mike Cook first.
Me first?
Yep. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
You're good.
Am I unmuted?
You are Bengal.
You're fine.
Yeah, the Bengals are way better than the Steelers.
Oh, that's it. He's getting kicked. No, I'm just kidding.
Shit. Where to go with all of this? I just want to defend Mike Z down there in Florida. He's a Marine, okay? He was trained to attack. All right? It's not a difficult situation. If he comes up to somebody against him, he's going to attack, and I think he's really for 9/11 truth.
Definitely.
Yeah. He's bringing up the USS Liberty and shit.
Hoo-ah and hoo-yah. Right on. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Let's go to Mike. The other Mike.
Hey, thanks, Mike Cook. I appreciate that. But just for clarification, I'm not a U.S. Marine. My uncle was. He was one of the frozen chosen in Korea, but I did not serve. I served those that served. But anyways, where do we draw the line? Sandra asked, and who decides? She said, and do we let everybody vote? Well, everybody is really not that many people. You've got just a handful of groups. War Room, you guys have 20 to 28 people regularly. Tap Talk, we have 20 to 30 people regularly. You've got Craig McKee's group that meets monthly. We could put these three groups together and have a democratic process to present ideas for Ron Johnson. That's how the American way has worked for 250 years. It's called an assembly of we the people. And this is not proper that we only have 4, 5, or 3 people making such a critical decision. So I would propose that in these 3 groups that we take a collection of ideas and present it with a democratic process. That's the fair and equitable manner. That's the American way. Any other way is not proper. And we need to let everyone have their voice, have their say, and there needs to be a dedicated day or evening where we hash this out on what is called the threshing floor. You separate the wheat from the chaff, the valuable from the not valuable. I yield.
Okay.
Clarification question. Are
group
you,
should then
Mike, are you?
So I'm going to keep talking. I don't know why people think they're going to talk over me. Stop, please. I think each of the groups that you identified, Mike, I think it's a noble thing. You're right. This is how the country, this is how the Federalist Papers and all of what's made this country so great. I think each of those groups should start to get together with their groups. And if they were going to present something to Ron Johnson, what they would want to be heard. And we can get each of those documents together and then discuss that at a later time. I think it's a great idea. So we should start the process.
Better than that, just submit them on your own, because there's no obligation from me to represent everybody in the 9/11 Truth Movement, or even half a dozen people. Or
Then
a
you
dozen
can do.
people. I'm just doing what I can do because I know I can get it done. And that's what Ted Walter's doing too. He's working with people he wants to work with, not with people who are representative of every faction of the 9/11 Truth Movement. So we're doing what we're doing. You can do what you're doing. And that's why it's not a democratic process. It's a response to an invitation that has been given to every member of the entire 9/11 Truth Movement individually, and we're responding individually. And you can try to make the argument that we're responsible for representing people other than ourselves, but it's not going to fly with me. I know it's not going to fly with the other people that I'm working with to try to get this thing done. It's a mammoth project that's going to require a lot of effort and a concentrated period of time, and we're not going to engage in a democratic process, except we're going to encourage people to send in what what they feel should be included so we don't miss anything consciously. But we're not going to debate about what does or doesn't go in. We're going to decide. And it's not going to be your decision. It's going to be our decision, those of us who have gotten together to make this thing happen.
Well, I'm glad you're
Are you
on the
gonna?
record, Richard, for saying
Yeah.
that. I appreciate your honesty. I really do. And Mr. Ron Johnson did ask for the most convincing evidence.
Yeah.
And to leave out elements of the Israeli involvement is not providing him the most convincing evidence.
Yeah. I
That would
encourage
be
you
a
to do that.
negligent act if you did that. So
Yeah, I
I
encourage you to
appreciate.
do that. I encourage you to do that.
Well, it's too bad we can't have a consensus because we are governed by the consent of the governed. But you're
This is not a
making
government. This is a group of people who decided they work well together and can put together a document in the time allotted. And I encourage you to do the same.
Well, I understand your point. We have a disagreement respectfully, and I encourage you to keep doing what you're doing. Except I would hope that you would allow freedom to take its course and not control. And that's what's happening. Control is happening.
Yeah, control's going to be what gets it done.
Well, 20 years has shown that is not the case.
Well, I'm talking about control in terms of choosing people that I work well together with, and that I know I can present a 2,000-page document in the limited time that we have. And debate is not going to be a part of that. I mean, we have healthy discussions, but we're not going to open up the floor for debate like you suggest. That's what people do when in terms of governing. We're not governing. We're trying to get a paper done.
No, that's how the people found redress of grievance for over 250 years. It has succeeded and worked quite well. And now all of a sudden we're wanting to change the model. And I disagree with you, Richard. I'm sorry.
That's not my model. I appreciate your saying that, Mike. It's not my model, but you can open up a democratic process if you want and try to get a paper done and get it submitted and have whatever you want in it. That's the American way.
I do.
Who else is on your team, Richard?
I do appreciate that. What Richard said there, to at least hear what people have, because they don't want us subconsciously miss something that they should have. But they ultimately want to be able to decide what's in it. They've worked together in the past year now to be able to get things this far. It was from their hard work that they actually got the meeting with Ron Johnson. So
Yeah, and I just wanted to say this isn't an election. An election, everybody, obviously, one vote, one person, everything counts. It's not one of those things. And going back to my where do you draw the line? Well, let's, if it's just open to everybody, let's bring in the whole doozy crowd and the Nuki crowd and the CGI crowd.
Oh, come on.
No, but come on, really? Because
that's absurd.
Really?
The Bible says in a multitude of counsel.
Once you expose them to the truth, that's how people learn. So the people who think it's CGI, let them listen, and then they'll be like, "Oh, that does make sense that it's not." Right?
Right.
That's the only way to enlighten people.
But I mean, it was a sincere question. Where do you draw the line, and who decides where that line is drawn, and who gets to have that input? Because suddenly you're on the other side of the line if you're doing that. The very that you said shouldn't exist.
All right.
That was really insulting, Sandra.
Really?
Very insulting. Yeah. I mean, as if everybody who thinks they're CGI or something else is crazy. I mean, maybe what you think, but people could think you're crazy. Bye.
Inclusive about all the theories that are out there.
Yeah, I agree with Sandra on that one. Carl, go ahead. I didn't kick Roy. He made his little parting shot and left. Go ahead.
Well, just to refute any notion that my being, quote, rough was a basis for Ron Johnson ghosting me on the Corbett report. The only communications I ever had with him were on June 2nd, and he thought highly enough of that contact physically at the exit of the Hart office building that he went on redacted like 2 days later and spoke glowingly of the conversation we had. And then the only contact after that was my July 14th interview. And I've attached in chat the audio recording of that. I don't think you'll find anything at all rough of my half-hour interview with the PSI staff. And then the next communication I had with Ron Johnson after he ghosted me, canceled me on September 5th, was on the 10th. And he explained that it was because his staff queried my social media posts.
Joey,
And
like 4 times.
Yes, and it's because of Israel, and or they didn't like my social media posts. So it's not because I'm rough. But Richard, please disclose to the group.
No.
Who are the 5 or the 4?
No. Okay. Who are the 5? We already said it. I hate having to repeat things. Carl, you repeat this every single call on this conversation with you.
No, Gene. Don't try to pigeonhole me, Gene.
No, I'm not pigeonholing you. What I'm saying is that you mention this every time on the call. Something between you and Ron Johnson happened, and that's you and Ron Johnson. So that's where it's going to stay between.
Richard lied a few minutes.
No, and Richard. Okay.
Richard lied. He said it had to do with my spamming Ron Johnson with emails, which is nonsense. He even agrees that was nonsense.
I think I said it had to do with your sparkling personality.
Well, fuck you again, Richard.
Wow. They're out of love, I'm sure.
All right, that was me this time that kicked him. I have a love for I love the guy, but he's just rough. There it is.
And to
right.
me, it's not even just that he's rough. It's that just he's got these blinders on about this one thing to the exclusion of everything else. He gives it a disproportionate amount of space. If he was sitting on the black boxes, I'd say, yeah, he's got he'd have a really good case. But in perspective, what it is that he can bring and the amount of space that it takes in our conversations, it is not proportionate. It just isn't. And anyways, yeah, that's my 2 cents.
So let's try to get through the hands here, and then we're gonna go around the room. Craig, go ahead.
There might be no room left to go around.
No.
Yeah, I just want to make something clear about this this whole thing. Well, it's following up on what Richard was saying about, we work well together, and it's not a democracy, and we're doing what we want to do. That's fine. There's no reason why any group of 5 people can't get together and produce evidence and send it in. That's not a problem. Where I have the problem is that it is I think understood by Johnson that this effort is on behalf of the truth movement. That's why I think Johnson is engaged in exchanges with you, Richard, is because he understands that you are one of the leaders of the movement, and you are marshaling the strongest evidence on behalf of the movement. So I would say, if you're going to continue sort of with the we get along together and we're doing it whether you like it or not sort of approach, then I would suggest that you have to make it very clear to Ron Johnson that you do not speak on behalf of the truth movement, that you speak on behalf of the 5 people that are behind the document, and just make that clear. And then, because otherwise you're representing yourself as representing people that it sounds like you're not representing.
Thank you, Craig. I appreciate that. That's a great point. I'll do that.
Okay. Thanks, Craig. Go to Jack again. Jack, no, you muted yourself now. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I had trouble with my system. Ron Johnson is a truther. I've heard him on YouTube several times. He's already convinced. He just wants the facts.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to become more of an expert, but he's already convinced.
Thank you, Jack. Diana?
I just wish we didn't argue much, because I think we're driving away any new people that come to this when we start insulting each other.
Yeah.
I think we should leave that for a special grievance meeting or something, and just, it should not be insulting each other. And also, Richard, you can say that the truth movement is not it's not a real organization. It's a nebulous group of people, so it's never going to be, a real. It's not like it's a membership. People pay dues or anything like that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Thanks, Diana. Yep, good point.
Yeah, very good points. Thank you.
All right, we're 7 o'clock. Let's make this quick. This is just around the room, quick little something. And
If you have
you
some.
have to, if you don't have it, you don't have anything. Let's go to Mike Cook. Anything for the group? Wrapping up.
I don't know.
You're good.
How do I demute? Am I
You are.
demuted?
You're fine. We
You're
can hear you.
unmuted. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm already demuted. Yeah, nothing major. Just a couple of honeypots across the street.
Thanks, Mike. Brian, good. Anything for the group? Nope. Thanks, Brian. Diana, back to you.
Yeah, I want to mention that I just signed up to go to Acapulco. I know that Richard spoke there one year, and we'd love it if other people would join me there.
When is it?
It's February, I think 15th to 20th, something like that.
That sounds like a great time to go to the beach.
Great.
Yeah, it's actually being held in Puerto Vallarta this time, so it's easier to fly to.
Nice.
15th to 2026 in Puerto Vallarta. All right.
Yeah, and it's there. I have a 10% discount if anybody wants it. I have a coupon. Yeah.
Coupon. All right. Thanks, Diana.
Okay. All right.
Mike Zarzano, anything for the group?
Yeah, even the Bible says that in a multitude of counsel, wisdom is found. And this is exactly how the American Indian tribes, whenever there would be a difficult situation or question, they would gather their leaders together and create a democratic process. And they would discuss it. And then at the end of the meeting, they would decide what the result would be or what the remedy would be. And that's a biblical principle. And to deny that or avoid that is avoiding godly, counsel. And it's just that simple. I would strongly urge Richard and anyone with him to reconsider. That's all. And Tuesday night Tap Talk, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to discuss this and some other very important issues that are relevant to the truth movement and the court case that will be proceeding in the future with over 250 defendants of 9/11 crimes. And even Mr. Ron Johnson admitted that he didn't think the commission would be the justice that we were seeking and that a court of law is where we need to go. That's what Ron Johnson said. So I yield. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. That actually is Proverbs 11:14, where there is no guidance, a people falls, but in abundance of counselors there is safety. Proverbs, a lot of them written by Solomon. I'm pretty sure they didn't.
Well, that was a weak version. If you read the,
finish my concept. And the last thing I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that Solomon didn't include the Amalekites when he was doing this counseling. Thank you. Now, let's go on to Carol. Anything for the group?
Oh, sorry, I've been in and out, but I think James Cormitt just posted The Year the Narrative Changed, and I don't know if you mention it to everybody, but it's a great read, and I think it's very helpful for all of us.
Okay.
Thank you, Carol.
Are you able to put the link in the chat?
I just did.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard, anything for the group?
Yeah, I'm excited that to sort of pre-announce here that Gail and I are putting our DVDs into a form because people, we go to conferences all around the country and people, we have DVDs for sale, right? And they go, I don't even have a DVD player. I mean, half the people we talk to say don't even have a DVD player. And they'll throw $20 into the donation box because they support us, but they don't walk away with anything. Now we have something which is a credit card size like this with a USB dongle on the end of it, which we can, and this one folds in. So you can see here it is folded in. So the first product we're going to release is calling out Bravo 7.
Nice.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. In a couple of days, you'll be able to buy a credit card for the same price as of a DVD. But it has a lot more on it. It has all the trailers and bonus material, all kinds of stuff that we can fit in there. So you can put it in your shirt pocket, and you can. This is USB-A, standard USB port, and you can put it in your computer and play or download the MP4 file of the Calling Out Bravo 7 and other stuff. And if you have an adapter, which we're going to provide with this, then you can plug it right into your smartphone.
Oh.
The adapter is USB-C.
Cool.
So it'll plug into most smartphones. The old iPhones still use Lightning. Anyway, so that's kind of exciting. We're gearing up for that. It'd be a lot easier to ship products like this that get the 9/11 truth message out from now on.
Thank you. I swore you said fit it in there. It sounded like you were turning Pittsburghese there. I don't know. But that was good. That was anybody that doesn't know, Pittsburghers don't say there. We say it's in there. It's up there. It's over there. It's said it's in there.
They dropped the TH.
They dropped
basically.
the TH.
Air. Okay,
It's in
gotcha.
there. All right.
Interesting.
A very cool product.
Curious, because I mean, from what you're saying, so it's the size of a credit card, but it can't be the width of a credit card because it's got to be the width of a USB, right?
The whole thing is the size of a credit card. This is what I'm holding in my
How
hand.
thick is it?
So just the USB part is thicker then?
No, it's just a slightly thicker than a
Okay.
credit
All
card.
right. Okay. Got it. Okay.
Sweet. Yeah, and then you fold out this. In our case, you're going to be able to slide it out.
Nice.
Bravo 7.
No, thank you, Richard.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Magnus in Norway.
Oh yeah, thank you. Keep up the great work and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and let's hope that we can get through this and get to the bottom of 9/11. And Richard Gage, you are working very awesome and hard on 9/11 crimes into courtroom. Thank you so much for spending the holidays on that.
Thank you. I'll be spending all night on getting it back to Stev, the final round. Stev's our editor in Australia. Thanks, Magnus.
Wow, cool. And I know that the lawyers committee and the firefighters and you actually, Richard Gage, need support. So I'm urging everybody to visit their pages. Same procedure as last year, James. You remember?
James, what?
The old video clip, same procedure as every year. I can send it to you on email later, Richard. It's a funny one they're sending every Christmas.
Oh, thank you.
One winner from
because I don't get it. Well, if you want to support us, you can get one of these when they come out. That would be great. Because we have to buy 50 of them, and they cost money. So we're going to be sitting on a lot of stock until we sell.
Thank you, Magnus, and a Merry Christmas back to you, brother. Thank you.
Yeah.
Craig?
Yeah, I'll just a quick addendum to the whole issue of the, how we act as a movement, and that I would just remind everybody about how well we did with the Weldon document, which we managed to find a line that didn't include every single possible theory, and yet we still collaborated. I was part of that. You guys were part of that. Several people on this call were. And somehow we managed to pull together a good document. So it's not, I'm almost feeling nostalgic for that project now because it feels like it's fading into the distance a little bit. But anyway, I'll leave it with that.
Right on, Craig.
And if I can just quickly, you're absolutely right about that. I will say that the mood around that, it was just this stunning turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
And we had this very specific ask with a very specific deadline. And we were all just, I mean, in that moment when it happened, it was like, oh my God. And everybody knew to instinctively put all the, all the bad blood behind. I mean, I'll never forget that first call. The people that were on that call that I thought would never, ever, ever, ever speak to each other again. So the mindset was different, and now this is a long project with it's 2,000 pages. I mean, and there's details. I mean, we had to really scrap.
2,000 pages. Where did the 2,000 pages come from?
The document. Isn't that what you said, Richard? 2,000 pages?
Yeah, it's an estimate of including all of the appendices of for instance, the journal. 9/11 studies.
Yeah, that even kind of alarms me a little more. If it's going to be 2,000 pages and it won't include the Pentagon, that's a little troubling to me.
Right.
That's a lot of pages.
It is. John Olson.
Okay, thank you. And I will be short, like a lot of people are not. 3 quick points. Number 1, it seems to me there's nothing magical about the number 5. I think that Barbara, from what I've heard tonight, ought to be on that committee, and maybe 1 or 2 more. Clearly, it doesn't have to be everybody, but there's no reason why it can't be expanded a little bit. Second point, there is a time for aggressive assertiveness, and there's a time to be tactful. Tactically, one has to be tactful at times. I think that is pretty clear to me in dealing with Ron Johnson and others who are in a position to do us some real good. And wisdom is knowing the difference. And sometimes we don't see that wisdom here. So I will give that. The third point, see, I'm being short. The third is I'm very concerned about the flagrant piracy going on in the Caribbean with the seizure of the oil tankers. This is extremely aggressive, uncalled for, and where that could lead is nothing short of disastrous. It's literally piracy. So I'm just very concerned about that direction. Over.
Thank you, John. And I really appreciate your second point. That's really been on my mind, trying to be being humble in this, what we have here. And I want to be fair to everybody and try to hear everybody's concerns and bring it to the table for discussion. And yeah, it gets heated. It got a little ugly today, but we all have a heart for 9/11 truth. I don't think any of you guys are disinformation agents or intentional gatekeepers or whatnot. I think we all have an issue with ego, and we all want the best for this movement. We all want justice. So you're right. We need to start concentrating on what true wisdom is. Thank you, John. Sue.
Jane,
I meant. Sorry. I'm looking at Jane and saying Sue. Sorry, Jane.
Oh, okay. Hi, everybody. I'm just, this is just more of on a personal level, where who grew up in an environment where authentic debate and conflict was never addressed. So, not that I am comfortable with discord, but I appreciate the process that all of this community is engaging with, and sometimes what is it? I think in the trauma arena, it's called rupture and repair. So I feel optimistic that despite all of the discord that may arise, we may find a way to repair, given our common efforts to bring the truth in whatever way this, whatever avenues this may take, and it may be multiple levels. So I'm just sharing that. Thank you.
Amen.
Right on, Jane. Mike Larzano, did I get you?
Yeah, you already got me.
Sorry, everybody's jumping around here. I got David Campbell. Anything for the group?
A couple of things. Thanks. Thank you both, and good dynamic call. I'm reading into both what Mike and John have said and are exchanging, and the word that comes to mind is diplomacy. We are diplomats of a message, ambassadors, as it were. Calls for powerful evidence, and it calls for tactful presentation, I would say. I'm reminded of the Haudenosaunee, also what's called the Iroquois Confederacy, the original 5 or 6 tribes in the Northeast from which we significantly drew our Constitution. And the women often were in positions of leadership and had the final say. That's not unusual around the world. So maybe we have something, if not a lot, to learn from gender and tactful, where I began, powerful evidence, and to Mike's point, and tactful diplomatic presentation. That's the one thing. The second, just briefly, is that I have a friend who attended with chaperoning 10 or so high school students to Game Point conference in Arizona, and I'll follow up with her after conference to see what her perspective was and the impact maybe it had on kids, the younger generation that we're trying to attract, if not now, inevitably in the future in terms of building movement and legacy going forward. Those are my 2 points. The last is a question. Will we be meeting next Sunday, or is that a day off in between holidays? Thanks again, all.
I'm of the unless my arm's falling off, we'll have a show. So yeah, we'll be here next Sunday.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Even if my arm was falling off, I still might do the show. I don't know. From the hospital bed. Thank you, David. Good points. Thank you.
Good.
Hop back to Al real quick. Al, anything for the group wrapping up? I know you're getting there. He's on.
I always do.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Not much. I mean, I really appreciate everybody here, and when you get into the long discussions, sometimes it gets. I mean, I've been dealing with kidney stones, so I've been trying to keep myself awake.
Yep.
And
Drink
anyway,
lots of water.
I know everybody tells me that. Anyway, I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and no matter how confrontational things get, I never forget that I'm in it for the longest haul there is, and I'm not going to give up on this stuff. And the more I learn from people here, I appreciate it very much. And again, Merry Christmas, and look forward to the new year, and hope we get another big breakthrough like we did this year. And basically, that's it.
Right on. Thank you, Al, and Merry Christmas to you as well. Ross, anything for the group, sir? You're there. You're unmuted, but we're not hearing you. While you're working on that, I'll go to Barb. Anything for the group, Barb?
Yeah, thanks. Before I make my comment, just a clarification. Somebody mentioned E. It looked like the letter E and then the number 2. E2's YouTube, the real Manchurian Candidate about Sirhan. What is E2?
Maybe episode?
Yeah, probably episode 2.
Oh, okay, episode 2. Oh, so maybe it's a series. Okay, all right. Okay, so a few comments. As board chair of the Lawyers Committee for 9/11 Inquiry, I want to remind everybody that for a decade and a half, we have been trying to get into a grand jury. We have been trying to get into the legal system. We have been blocked every time with the alleged lack of standing, even for 9/11 victims' family members, architects and engineers, lawyers committee, all plaintiffs, family members of people who died from the dust at Ground Zero. They have blocked the courthouse door. So though I appreciate where Mike Zarzano's coming from, I would counsel patience. I would counsel faith in Ron Johnson. That's where the game is right now. That's where we have to have our trust. And I also would just remind people, I was in the meeting with Ron Johnson. That was on September 10th. That was the day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. That was very much on his mind. Now, quite frankly, Richard would have to speak to this if he's still on. I don't know if it was just before or just after our meeting. Our meeting was supposed to start at 11. It did not start on time. So I guessed by about 11:30 for about an hour. We were in his conference room in his office in the Senate building, Hart Senate building. So I'm not certain of the precise order of events. However, we need to understand the delicacy of that situation and the fact that he was so welcoming to the 8 or 9 of us who just happened to be there. We happened to be in DC for the conference, so we went. I want to remind everybody, this is important, that what he asked that group, our group there, to do was to have the movement itself form a 9/11 type commission, and that the report that the group of 5 is now working on, they are skipping the commission. They are skipping what Ron Johnson explicitly thought should happen and told us so. Now, I do happen to know that the group of 5 has asked Ron Johnson to please get back and let them know if he really insists upon this 9/11 Truth Movement version of a 9/11 commission. The only reason Ron Johnson, in my informed opinion, having been there and seen his expression on his face, tone of his voice, he's looking for political cover. And he's also very aware that witnesses are assassinated. So he's walking an extremely fine line. I think of him like that courageous guy who put the wires between the 2 twin towers and walked across way up there, 110 stories, right? That's the way I feel we need to think of Ron Johnson, and we need to have faith in him. It's a matter of prayer as well as working with him. I have faith in him, and I hope we do too. So that's my comment.
Right on. Thanks, Barb.
Gene, just a quick comment. I completely disagree with Barbara that Ron Johnson said, get the 9/11 Truth movement together and have your own commission. We have very different perspectives on what he did say. We will clarify it, but that is not to be taken as fact.
Well, let me just add that the group of 5 made that very question one of their questions to him, that you're still waiting for an answer. And Ted would not have made that one of the key questions before you can move forward, unless Ted understood that that was something that he had said. So
no, Ted agrees with me that he didn't hear him say that. But because of the controversy that we're having right now, we did want to clarify it.
I'm going to go
okay,
back.
well, we'll see.
I'm going to go
We'll
back.
see, but I heard it very clearly.
I'm going to go listen.
Ron Johnson specifically said he wanted uncontestable evidence.
Again, we're talking about 2 different things here. One, we're talking about what he said at the 24th anniversary to everyone, which I'm going to go back and find that, and I'll have it ready for the next. But then he said something private in this meeting to those folks. So yeah.
And he also
well, I was adding to the conversation, Gene.
Well, now hold on. In the meeting with Ron Johnson, he also asked for incontrovertible evidence also.
Yeah, that's right.
We were talking about 2 different things there, Mike. You were addressing what he said to everyone. You weren't addressing what he said privately, because we wouldn't have known that.
Well, the subject was, what did actually Ron Johnson say? That was the subject. I was adding an element to the subject matter.
Right, which was inaccurate, because you were talking about something that was said publicly to everybody and not what they're talking about, which was this comment that he made.
Look, we were earlier talking about what we need to put in the document. He specifically requested, he wanted uncontestable evidence, quote unquote.
Yeah,
Well,
that's right.
okay.
I think
Thank you,
he
Richard.
said in his public presentation, and Gene, I think it's good that you're going to go and find that and confirm this. I thought he talked about a commission in that case. But I can't say I'm 100% sure of that.
Thank you.
Well, allow me to just say one other thing.
Can't.
No, just at once. I fully agree with Richard and Ted and this group of 5 that the movement doesn't have the time or the resources to do a 9/11 style 9/11 or a movement style 9/11 commission. I agree with that. But it's really good that we're getting clarification as to the importance that Ron Johnson does or does not place upon that as a first step towards the report. So that's my comment.
Sean, anything for the group wrapping up?
Sure, a couple things. I guess Merry Christmas, right? All this holy talk is unholy to unholy years. So 2 things. We got hung up on the court case there with and I'm just gonna take a minute here, another minute, geez. With our redress, right? They said we have a right to do it, but they don't have to hear us, right? Was that right? The redress of grievance. They Mick Harris brought it to the court, and they said, "Yeah, you have a right to petition, but we don't have to answer the petition," right?
Well, if you're talking about the grand jury that went to the Supreme Court, they said they didn't have standing.
Yeah, they said we don't have standing to get in the courthouse door. Correct.
Okay, so with Johnson, he's on our side on this. Maybe he could write some legislation to kind of make it so they do have to answer. Maybe there's so many grand juries petitioned a year that they can't answer them all, or how's that work?
I don't know. Maybe thing also about, he could write legislation about whistleblower protection. I don't ever remember anyone writing anything for JFK or USS Liberty or anything else in the past.
I'm just saying this is our First Amendment right?
Yeah.
To petition the government.
Yep.
So that's kind of a big one, right? So it seems like if you brought that up to him, how it's our First Amendment right. Not me. I'm not going to jump out there and talk to the guy. But second one is going to be a fun one here. How about Trump being involved in the Twin Tower destruction? Ooh, Johnson said, not Ron Johnson, but Mike Johnson said he was an informant. He never said for whom.
I didn't hear that one.
Yeah, he said it.
For the FBI?
He didn't say it. He just said Trump was an informant. You guys don't remember that?
No.
Mike Johnson,
When
he just said it once.
When did he say that?
Oh, geez, this must have been 4 months ago, maybe.
Really? I'll look into it.
Yeah, he slipped up and said he was
the Speaker
of the House, Mike Johnson. Yep.
Mike Johnson, Trump informant. All right. We'll look it up. Thank you, buddy.
All right. Maybe Trump is involved. He's a New York City guy.
Yeah.
You never know.
Rudy Giuliani, yeah. Right on.
All right.
Merry Christmas to you, too. Craig, anything for the group? Craig R.
Richard Gage, thank you for everything that you are doing and have done. That's all I have to say.
Merry Christmas to you, Stephen Michael Andrews.
Victor,
yes. Josh Schoenfeld, anything for the group?
Sorry, it took a while to unmute. Just Feliz Navidad, Merry Christmas.
Feliz Navidad, Merry Christmas to you.
It sounded like you were adding something else, hence the pause.
I think.
Oh, sorry.
Josh, you probably found pretty good interest in that conversation, that news article. Which one was it? I forget. Oh, the Coleen Rowley. I'd like to hear your input on that. Maybe if you send an email or something. Sure you have some input on that one.
Oh, I could send you an email.
Right on. Thank you.
Jetty. Good night.
Good night to you. Jetty and Scotland. Sorry, I have to do that. He's still awake.
To say it if it ever gets annoying.
He doesn't. He said he doesn't have a microphone tonight.
Oh, okay. 10-4. And JB. Anything for the group, JB? You're not muted, but we don't hear you. And go back to Ross. Ross, you there back? You back there? Nope.
That's it.
Nope. Still not working, Ross. Sandra, anything for the group?
Just Merry Christmas. Have a peaceful time. Hope gives you some rest and some regeneration and time with your loved ones, and come back refreshed.
Yep.
But be here next Sunday.
I'll be here.
Right? Merry Christmas to you all too.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
You forgot me, Gene.
Oh, did I? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jack.
Okay, well, Ron Johnson is just one person. He's an average human like all of us, and he won't be able to pick up all this information that quickly. So he wants to learn, but he's also as busy as a one-armed coat hanger as a senator for the last few weeks. And also, I wanted to say that Candace Owens is keeping herself alive by speaking out so loudly, because you don't ever want to be in a position that if they kill you, they can silence what you're saying. Yeah. And that's what my opinion is what happened to Rob Reiner, because his group, Jimmy Dore explained it once, they have a peace group in Hollywood, and his good friend Mandy Patinkin in that peace group has been speaking very loudly about Israel's behavior and other things. And they couldn't kill him, but they could kill his friend. That's my theory.
John, I'm very interested. Could you post some links in the chat to this Rob Reiner thing? It's very bad.
I'll send it to you if I get your email. It's just my opinion.
I can put my email in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay, Jimmy Dore said a few months ago that he used to be in a group and they were discussing peace and every Saturday night and in Hollywood, and he mentioned Rob Reiner. And then he got into a disagreement with them and he stopped going. But
there's been a whole bunch of these things over the decades, okay, where people come up against the reality and they have a voice. They're a person, right? They can broadcast and they die.
All right. Brian,
Merry Christmas, guys.
Brian.
Love yous all.
Brian.
UFUs don't hurt.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Next week.
Brian, good.
It's been a very valuable but contentious discussion. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
That I wanted to share. I'm not going to share the video, but if you guys have not seen the Dave Chappelle code word video, check it out and have a Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Next
year.
Merry Christmas.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.